Welcome to Wednesday's edition of TimesCast. Anthony Shadid from Baghdad on a series of attacks in the wake of the U.S. withdrawal.
Insurgents proved that they could strike virtually any Iraqi city at any time they wanted to.
Marcus Mabry and Jason Stallman on primary election returns.
We have real drama right now going in Alaska.
And a look at FreedomWorks, the central organizer of the Tea Party.
We really want to build an alliance of conservatives and libertarians that can really drive the political agenda.
We saw a withering assault today on Iraq's security forces in which insurgents deployed their full arsenal of weapons. Car bombs, hit-and-run attacks, roadside mines. The death toll is 46 now, but that's probably likely to rise. Perhaps more important, though, is the symbolism of the attacks. Insurgents proved that they could strike virtually any Iraqi city at any time they wanted to. There had been anticipation of these attacks for days and even weeks, but it seemed to do little to gird the Iraqi security forces against the offensive that we saw today. This is often a war of competing narratives, perceptions often mattering more than the realities on the ground. The perception out there that the American military and administration has tried to put forth is that this war is coming to a, as they say, a responsible end. The insurgents today tried to prove otherwise, that this is still a country at war. The American military has portrayed the withdrawal going on this month as a turning point in the 7-year experience here. As they do that, American military officials have maintained that Iraqi security forces are ready and able to inherit sole control. The withdrawal, as outlined by the Obama administration, bringing troops to below 50,000 by August 31st, has proceeded in some ways regardless of the situation on the ground in Iraq. There is no government here. There hasn't been a government since the election in March. Popular frustration is rising. That this withdrawal is going to go ahead regardless of what happens on the ground is almost assured. It would take something very dramatic, something very violent to probably change that. That said, though, the narrative that the Americans have attempted to put forth, that these Iraqi security forces are ready, is coming under increasing question as these attacks go on.
Marcus Mabry and Jason Stallman on what Tuesday's primaries could mean for the midterm elections.
Last night we had 4 primary elections and a runoff in Oklahoma. The day after, looking back, some things went as expected. For example, John McCain cruising to victory in Arizona. But we also have some sort of lingering surprises, right?
Well, I think the big winner of the night, looking backwards to last night, was Kendrick Meek, who was the congressman from Florida, who will now be the Democratic nominee in a 3-way race for the Senate seat in Florida. That's going to be incredibly dramatic for this season. You got Charlie Crist, who was the Republican governor, who now is an independent candidate. Marco Rubio, a Tea Party favorite, who's running on the Republican ticket as their nominee, and Ken Meeks. So the question is, can he actually win back some Democrats and actually take some from Crist, or will Crist actually be able to be the moderate in a time of, as Crist said last night after the nominations were clear on the Republican and Democratic side, the swampland of American partisan politics? Will he be able to present himself as an independent alternative?
So we have potential drama in Florida going into the election, but meanwhile,
we have
potential confusion in Alaska.
We have real drama right now going in Alaska. We're waiting to see if Lisa Murkowski will be able to be returned as a Senate nominee for the Republicans, or whether she'll be taken down by Joe Miller, another Tea Party favorite, a Sarah Palin endorsed candidate, and we're really seeing, will this be the test of Sarah Palin's political power? Will she be the kingmaker here? Right now, we may not know until next week. Only next week will they start counting provisional ballots in Alaska. 16,000 absentee ballots yet to be counted, not to mention those provisional ballots, which will only start to be counted next week.
Kate Zernike on FreedomWorks, the group working to shape the Tea Party's political power.
What we're trying to do is take over the Republican Party.
Brendan Steinhauser is the chief organizer with FreedomWorks, the Washington-based libertarian advocacy group that moved first and most aggressively to shape the Tea Party movement into a political force.
We were the organization that was best able to say, here's what we do with that energy.
It's an organizing challenge for sure. After all, the Tea Party movement likes to think of itself as leaderless.
I mean, we're going to do our thing, right? Whether somebody from D.C. helps us or not, we're still going to do our thing.
FreedomWorks staff members like Mr. Steinhauser are working to create a like-minded libertarian community. He, like many, joined right out of college.
That's going to be on Facebook.
It's a striking contrast to a movement that is made up largely of people twice his age or more.
All of my colleagues are going to say, you didn't work at all you did was eat lobster.
They're using the playbook of the left to organize the right.
You know what she is? She's a community organizer.
I know.
Yeah, she is. And you better accept that.
FreedomWorks has already succeeded in making Tea Party conservatives the dominant community organizing force of the 2010 midterm elections, promoting economic conservatives in primaries, and effectively pushing the Republican Party to the right.
We really want to build an alliance of conservatives and libertarians that can really drive the political agenda for the next 20 to 50 years.
Tune in again tomorrow for another edition of TimesCast.